What is the one word I've been saying when they keep hiring coaches? What is the one term that I use that when it comes down to who they are hiring around this roster right now, these coaches, the one word is experience, 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 experience. And the Eagles just hired two more coaches on the defensive side. Vic Fangio is getting his crew together, and I'm really excited to see the production and what the future holds for this team, and especially going into free agency and the draft. And man, there's a lot of things to look forward to, and this is going to make a lot of people happy. So let's get into it.
We better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
What is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today, and I hope everyone's feeling a little bit better because the Eagles are hiring more experienced type coaches, positional coaches that have looked, I really haven't had a thing to complain about so far with some of the hirings besides the Vic Fangio scheme, which really isn't, I'm not really a big, a big fan of the scheme in general, but, I feel like with the right coaches around, the experienced coaches around and who they're hiring and what they have done around the league. And I think the Eagles are being very aggressive. Vic Fangio is given all the power to hire his own staff. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty happy. Okay. Clint Hurtt from the Seattle Seahawks is going to be the new defensive line coach. Goodbye, Tracy Rocker. And Clint Hurtt was a part of Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears, which the defensive line was just amazing those couple years. And he was the defensive line coach at the time, and he actually worked with the linebackers as well. So he has coached linebackers, he has coached defensive line. He's been an assistant, I think, an assistant head coach as well. Been with Seattle. I think he's been at DC. So he's been mostly all over the place, but has worked really well with Vic Fangio with the defensive line. This defensive line has got to hit home. We got to be aggressive. We got to rush, and hopefully we'll be adding more pieces to it. So this, I thought, was a really good hiring. But this is where the Eagles are going to thrive with the next hiring. Not only is Clint Hurtt coming to the Philadelphia Eagles, he's bringing a buddy with him that Vic Fangio likes a lot, and that is Karl Scott, the defensive backs coach, the corner coach for the Seattle Seahawks. Look what they have done with Devin Weatherspoon, Tariq Woolen. He has turned corners. He has put 4 or 5 corners in the Pro Bowl. I mean, I'm not even kidding. This guy's got an unbelievable stat sheet reputation, especially with those two guys, Devin Weatherspoon, Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen especially been one of my favorite corners. These are smash mouth cornerbacks. These guys want to punch you in the mouth every time you get close to them. And I got to say, man, this is a really good sign. But not only that, with Karl Scott, but this is a guy that has a lot of Alabama connections, where he was the defensive backs coach from 2018 to 2020, where in the past he has coached up Trevon Diggs, Patrick Surtain, Jordan Battle, Brian Branch. Now, he left after 2021. And here's the big connection because of Alabama and what he's done so far. I mean, because you're going into this draft with the Alabama connections here, okay? You got Kool-Aid McKinstry that committed to Alabama in 2020, and you have Terrion Arnold that committed to Alabama in 2021. These are two of the top corners on that team right now, and done a pretty good job. And this is a good sign. This is a good sign because the Eagles are, I don't think that the Eagles are set at corner this year. I don't think they're keeping Bradbury, and we'll see what happens with Slay. I think he's going to stay. We'll see how Vic Fangio feels about it, because at the end of the day, if Vic Fangio feels like there is a specific player that, doesn't want to be here or doesn't fit his scheme, then at the end of the day, he's going to get rid of those players, and Howie Roseman is going to pull the trigger on pretty much everything at this point. And this just puts a smile on my face that changes are going to be made. And having Karl Scott here with tons of experience has developed Pro Bowl cornerbacks I would love, because at the end of the day, guys, we have to be realistic. The Eagles are not going after Janarius Sneed. They're not going to be paying big money in free agency for a cornerback. I'm tired of it. I mean, we haven't done it in a long time. Besides, Slay was the last one. I understand we re-signed Bradbury, but those contracts are very easy to get out of. If you take Bradbury's contract, you extend him, spread out that dead money for a few years. years, it's really not that bad. But going forward, this is a guy that this is like another Denard Wilson that gets the best out of his cornerback group and probably better. Who knows at this point? This is this is probably one of my favorite signings because of the connections with Alabama, going to free agency, going to the draft, and not even just that, but another guy that could come to the Philadelphia Eagles, another player that he knows of from Alabama is Xavier McKinney. He's a free agent, going into the offseason. You know what I mean? He'll be a free agent soon, and who knows? The Eagles might have a brand new safety, depending on what the contract looks like. I know they're going to spend big money on their defense somewhere between safety and linebacker, but McKinney might want to roll back into the room. So who knows? He's another player that he knows of, maybe is connected to. I know he's not a cornerback. He is a safety, but there's a lot of connections there when he was at Alabama. So it's really interesting. I love the connections that he has, and I think Karl Scott is going to do a fantastic job here. I'm really hoping so. This is big, man. This is really big. As a part of having this Vic Fangio type 3-4 scheme, you got to have guys that want to hit you in the mouth. They're going to move around, especially having guys. Isn't it time that we draft cornerbacks like homegrown talents instead of picking off whatever we can pick off in the NFL for big money and waste all that money for what? Go into the draft and draft your future. And if you decide to keep Slay, it is what it is. But at the same time, you draft your homegrown talent to pair up with Slay for the year, and kind of learn from him and have that, not a red shirt year, but going through the NFL type of year. And the Eagles have the 22nd pick. The Eagles have 4 fifth-rounders. The Eagles have 2 seconds. I mean, they had 4 compensatory picks. So the Eagles have a lot of ammo to move up. They feel like one of those 2 guys will be the guy. But this is a really good sign going forward, in general, just for the cornerback position, for the future of the Philadelphia Eagles, because I'm just tired of getting old hags now. I'm tired of getting I'm tired of getting guys that are starting to play soft or not want to kind of revitalize themselves, going into a scheme and just not playing up to par because they're getting older and stuff like that. Because I didn't like Slay's comments last year. I didn't like certain things that happened. And Bradbury has only benefited from a good pass rush. Maybe they'll keep him. I don't know, but I just don't see it happening for the amount of money that he is going to make. And I think that's awesome. And I think the Eagles will try to get insight from Karl Scott and be like, hey, what do you know about these players? How would they be here for us? And I think he'll have a lot to do with the draft in general and give a lot of feedback to Vic Fangio and what they need for this defense this year. It should be amazing. And this is why you have mini camp and training camp and OTAs and joint practices and preseason. You have enough time to get these guys prepared for the regular season. And I think just because of the cornerback position and what Karl Scott has turned corners into, I mean, that's just amazing. That's obviously one of the best schools to going into the NFL and developing 4 defensive backs to the Pro Bowl. I mean, the past 2 seasons, dude, 2 seasons. It's the best move I've ever seen, and how he did it, I don't know, but this is the trust. I think what's part of this whole entire deal is that Vic Fangio has so much respect from a lot of coaches that he's been successful with that want to kind of run it with him a little bit. I don't know if Karl Scott has worked with Vic Fangio, but he has worked with Clint Hurtt, the new defensive line coach, and man, this is good. I've been thinking about this all night long. Pause. But you know what I mean. This is a big move for the secondary. This is a big move for what could happen, later on, because there's nothing better than to draft, corners from top schools and get them in the building and have them for 9-10 years. You know what I mean? Guys that can play at a high level for a while. I mean, that's why I think this is fantastic. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out other things to say, but I'm just shocked over this, that Clint Hurtt was able to bring this guy with him. And, I think a lot of he gets the best out of his cornerbacks. We've seen it. I didn't really know too much about this guy at all. Really never even heard of him, to be honest with you. But, I'm not a Seattle fan, and obviously I don't follow Alabama too much, over the past, 6, 7, 8 years, when it comes to the coaches that go in and out and who leaves to go to the league. But I think this is a move that that is going to really affect us in a positive way when it comes to the secondary, getting the right players for the scheme instead of signing 27-year-olds, signing old corners when we're desperate for one to come into the building. Like when we signed Slay, good signing at the time, we got the most out of him. But we're looking towards the future of the secondary for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they need to get younger and they need to get drafted. They just need to. It needs to be a homegrown talent and to have them in the building for a long time and producing these guys. And if that's the case, and this guy could do the job, who knows what could happen in the future. And I'm very excited for it. I hope you guys are really excited for it because we're hitting home runs right now. I know the season hasn't started yet. I know we haven't touched our roster yet. I know we haven't went to free agency yet or the draft, but the hirings have been home runs and with really good, experienced reputations off the wall. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, what you think of Karl Scott and Clint Hurtt and who they could draft together. Especially Karl Scott having some input really on Alabama and all the players and having good connections with a lot of guys, a lot of good players over the years that he's been around and turned 4 of them in 2 seasons Pro Bowlers in the secondary. It's kind of nuts. But let's be patient and wait and see what happens. But this is a very good sign going forward, and I can't wait to see what they do. Can't wait to see the more things that they do. This would give you a lot more. Insight that they're going to cut some guys that really don't fit the scheme, and free up some money. Not only for the draft, but you free up money for specific players that are going to fit this scheme. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be gone. Mostly on the defensive side of the ball. Offensive side, I'm not even worried about it. But defensive side, yeah, it's going to be a big change. It's coming, and the Eagles are changing. So, all right, you guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shake some up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.